Okay, so get this sound.
Yeah.
Right, but you don't just hear it, you see it. Like the vibration's actually making patterns you can see.
Yeah.
That's cymatics,
Yeah.
and it's crazy cool.
It's wild.
We're taking a deep dive into the work of Dr. Hans Jenny today,
Huh.
figuring out how he basically made sound, like, tangible.
Yeah, it is really remarkable. And his book, Cymatics, A Study of Wave Phenomena and Vibration, that's our guide for today.
Right.
But, you know, he wasn't just a scientist. He was a musician, an artist, even a bird watcher of all things.
Wait, bird watching?
Uh-huh.
How does that even relate to sound and patterns?
So get this, he could identify any bird at all, just by its song, or just
Really?
by seeing it, its silhouette.
Wow.
Talk about an eye for detail. And an ear,
Yeah.
right? And, you know, Dewey's whole approach to science, it was like an artist observing nature. Very much like Goethe did, you know, letting nature kind of reveal its secrets just through careful observation.
Okay.
And that was really key to his work in cymatics.
So instead of coming in with a theory, it was more like he let the patterns kind of emerge and speak for themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense, especially with something so visual, right?
Absolutely.
But I'm curious, how did he capture these patterns? It's not like you can just, like, point a camera at a sound wave.
Exactly, yeah. No, he used these things called crystal oscillators,
Okay.
and they generate very specific vibrations.
Okay.
And then he would place different materials, could be sand, liquids, powders, on a metal plate.
Uh-huh.
And so picture this, right? The plate vibrates
Okay.
from the sound waves,
Right.
and then all these materials on top, they start to shift and move, and that's how those like mesmerizing patterns would form.
Okay, so let me get this straight. So the plate is like a speaker, basically.
Exactly.
The
Yeah.
materials are like reacting to those vibrations.
Right.
It's almost like they're dancing to the sound.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. They're dancing to the sound. And here's the mind-blowing part. Jenny didn't just see these patterns, or he would feel them too.
What?
Hear them.
No way.
He talked about this full-on sensory experience.
Wow.
Really emphasized how interconnected sound and vibration and form really are.
So it's not just a visual thing. You're experiencing the sound in this whole other dimension.
Absolutely.
That's crazy.
Yeah, imagine just seeing sand on a plate and then all of a sudden it's forming these intricate geometric shapes.
Right.
All in response to these vibrations.
Wow. Okay, my mind is already a little bit blown here. So we're saying that sand is forming shapes, like actual shapes, just from sound waves.
Yeah.
That's wild. What kind of shapes are we even talking about here?
So they're called Chladni figures.
Okay.
And they're incredibly precise, almost like geometric blueprints.
Really?
And the really interesting thing is that the shapes change based on the frequency of the sound.
Oh, wow.
So higher frequencies, they create more complex patterns. It's almost like the sound is like leaving its fingerprint behind.
So it's not just random. There's a direct connection between the sound and the visual pattern.
Exactly.
It's like this hidden language is being revealed.
Yeah.
Which is so cool. I know Dr. Jenny also experimented with liquids. So what happens when you introduce something that's not, like, solid?
Well, with liquids, things get even more and more dynamic, you know? Like, imagine, like, this thick, syrupy glycerin and just, like, transforming before your eyes, forming these wave patterns, textures, even, like, swirling vortexes, all choreographed by the vibrations.
It's funny you should say that, because I'm looking at the book right now, and there's that picture where the vibrating glycerin, it looks like a snake skeleton.
Right, right.
It's beautiful, but it also makes you wonder, if sound can make glycerin do that, what else could it be capable of?
Right. That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really speaks to like the profound possibilities within cymatics. But it's not just sand and glycerin, you know?
Right.
Jenny also experimented with like a podium powder. Are you familiar with that? It's like super fine, almost weightless stuff.
Well, yeah, I've seen videos. It's like watching like a miniature volcanic eruption.
Exactly.
With like all these tiny fountains and heaps of powder just like dancing around.
Exactly. And the crazy part is that the tiniest change in volume, it could make those little powder eruptions go from like a gentle sprinkle to like a full-blown explosion. Talk about a sensitive system. It just highlights how even the slightest shifts in sound energy can like dramatically alter like the physical world around it.
Wow. That's incredible. So we've got sand making like geometric shapes. We've got liquids swirling around like little whirlpools, and we've got powdered like erupting like mini volcanoes.
Right.
And all thanks to sound. here's the thing I don't get though. Like, how does this how does this connect to things that are happening in the natural world where, you don't have a speaker like blasting sound waves?
Right, right, right.
Like, how does that work?
Yeah, that's where it gets even more fascinating. So you see, Jenny, he didn't just focus on like sound-induced vibrations. He also explored something that he called periodicity without vibration,
Okay.
where rhythmic patterns they emerge, but there's not like a direct sound source.
Hold on, I'm lost. How can you have patterns and rhythms without any vibration, like driving them?
It does sound kind of counterintuitive, right?
Yeah.
But it's all about recognizing that this periodicity, this inherent rhythm, it underpins so much of what we see in the world around us.
Sure.
Take Lees-Gang rings, for example. You basically drop silver nitrate onto a gelatin layer that contains potassium bichromate. And what happens is instead of it kind of smoothly blending together, you get these perfectly spaced rings of precipitation.
So it's like a chemical reaction is expressing itself rhythmically, even though there's not a direct sound vibration.
Right.
That's so cool.
It is. And then there's diffusion,
Right.
which is something that, we often think of as random.
Right, yeah.
Imagine like a single drop of red dye spreading through like black ink.
Okay.
You'd think it would just be this like blurry mess, right?
Yeah.
But instead you get these like mesmerizing rhythmic patterns emerging. It's almost like cells forming.
So even at like a microscopic level, there's this like hidden choreography going on.
Yeah, it's like nature has this built-in beat, this pulse, and it keeps everything moving and organizing in these rhythmic ways.
Wow.
And it kind of brings us to what Jenny called the basic triadic phenomenon, the interplay of form, motion, and periodicity.
Okay, break that down for me. So
Yep.
form is like the shape,
Yeah.
the pattern.
Right, but it's not static, It's always in motion. It's this constant dance of currents and rotations, pulsations.
Okay.
Think about, like those lycopodium powder eruptions.
Right.
They have a shape, but they're always shifting, right?
Right.
Driven by those vibrations.
And that's where periodicity comes in.
right.
It's like the rhythm that's driving the motion
Exactly.
and the shaping, the forms that we see.
Exactly. It's not like three separate things,
Right.
It's really all one unified system.
Okay.
Imagine like a symphony orchestra.
Okay.
You've got instruments that create different sounds. You got melodies, harmonies.
Yeah.
That's like the form in cymatics.
Okay.
And then you got the rhythm section. You got your drums, your bass keeping time, right?
Right.
That's like the periodicity.
Gotcha.
And then you have the dynamics, the crescendos, the diminuendos, the way the music ebbs and flows. Right.
That's the motion.
Wow. I really like that analogy. So instead of musical instruments, we've got vibrations.
Exactly.
And instead of a concert hall, we have, well, everything.
Precisely. And Dr. Jenny, he believed that this symphony, it wasn't just limited to his lab.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he saw like echoes of these cymatic patterns everywhere in the natural world.
Wow.
In the shapes of seashells, the branching patterns of trees, even like the spiral of a galaxy.
So he wasn't saying that those things were caused by sound waves, right?
Yeah.
It was more like he was suggesting that there was this deeper principle at work.
Exactly. Yeah. He saw cymatics as this new lens to view the world through, like a way of understanding the fundamental forces that might be like shaping everything around us.
It's like realizing that the same rules that like govern the way that tides move also like apply to like how a sunflower grows.
Right.
Or the patterns in a Tibetan singing bowl.
Yeah, it's a powerful thought, isn't
It
it?
really is. That there might be these underlying principles,
Yeah.
these like universal rhythms that connect everything in the universe.
It really makes you think, like, what if we could like tap into those rhythms?
Right.
Could we use sound to like influence growth
Yeah.
or healing,
Yeah.
even energy production?
Yeah. Those are the big questions, aren't they?
Yeah.
The ones that Dr. Jenny's work really kind of opens up.
Right.
And while we may not have all the answers yet,
Yeah.
one thing's for sure, listening to the world, and I mean really listening with all of our senses,
Right.
it might just unlock secrets that we never even imagined.
So maybe the real deep dive here isn't just about understanding cymatics, but like tuning our own senses to the symphony of the universe.
Now that's a thought worth pondering.
It really is. Until next time, keep those ears open and those minds curious.